You are joining the service at a time when tectonic shifts are happening in information dissemination as well as consumption. This is the 5G era, when text, voice and visuals are moving at an amazing speed of nanofractions of a second and landing on platforms that did not exist even a decade ago. Earlier, real-life conversations happened over content in newspapers and magazines. Now virtual conversations, more intense, more involved, and more influencing, are happening over digital content. Television, which grabbed the space being vacated by print media, has shrunk from big screen to handheld devices. OTT content, often unstructured, has begun to replace structured content offered by television newsrooms. As we move from 5G to 6G, which will be your era, we have to understand the emerging pattern of quest for information and consumption of information. There was a yawning gap between the 4G and 5G. The gap between the 5G and 6G will be much shorter. Hence, you don't have the luxury of time or a relaxed approach. The clock is ticking and you have to be on the right side of time. My dear friends, India, as the world's largest democracy, has to be an equal participant in giving shape and form to the new information order. Democracies are rooted in constitutional law, are nurtured by regular, free and fair elections, thrive on public discourse. In turn, public discourse rests on information or the lack of it, or even worse, disinformation. So public discourse which is informed is a good for the nation, for the government and for the stakeholders in our great democracy, the people of India. Public discourse which is ill-informed weakens the nation, tarnishes its institutions and weakens trust in the elected government. So public discourse which is influenced by the malicious disinformation is corrosive and dangerous for democracy and the national interest. In fact, we are witnessing an alarming rise in malicious disinformation dissemination. This is a global phenomenon, what is called the infodemic, greatly facilitated by the advent of social media platforms. Democratization of public spaces offered by the tech platforms has no doubt had a positive impact, allowing a bottom-up participation in popular debate and discourse. But malicious, weaponized disinformation, whether internal or external, has worked against the positive gains of this democratization of public spaces. So it is of great concern, not only for us, but governments around the world, how malicious disinformation often seeks to intervene and influence the political process. The other concern is malicious disinformation, often with the external linkages, seek to create social turmoil, even anarchy in the streets, and promote cultural conflicts. The reason why I have elaborated on these points is to give you a sense of what would be your role as officers of the information service. Your primary task would be to fuel an informed understanding of issues so that public discourse is well informed. For this, you have to cultivate both personal and institutional capability and credibility. Fake news, the other virulent virus of our times, can be, should be, and must be fought robustly with trustable news. So it would be your job to think out of the box, cut the clutter, and relentlessly push the facts. There should be no compromise on this simple necessity for an official information system. Prompt, precise, and perfect. That is the threefold target you have to set for yourselves. My dear friends, I would like to remind you that the information service was set up at a time when a new post-war global information order was taking shape and form. Great ideological rivalry and Cold War politics framed the contours of that information order. It was driven by the West, directed at the East, and aimed at promoting perceptions of the West as those of the whole world. The affluent global North set the terms of information engagement for the less developed and developing global South. We are now witnessing the birthing of a post-pandemic new information order as geopolitical lines of alignments are being redrawn and geopolitical concerns are being reframed. The overwhelming dominance of big tech in grey, hazy, algo-driven information dissemination lies at the core of new information order. Once again, we are seeing the West giving shape and form to the new information order. Big tech firmly aligned with them. What this does is it squeezes out autonomy of nation states to decide what is best for them.
नमस्कार, मैं हूं मानक गुप्ता। अगर आपको हमारा ये वीडियो पसंद आया हो तो इसे लाइक और शेयर जरूर करें और हां, हमें सब्सक्राइब और फॉलो करना ना भूलें ताकि आप देश और दुनिया की कोई खबर मिस ना करें। तो जुड़े रहिए हमारे साथ और देखते रहिए News24।